Hi there. Well, it's been a very unusual day. We had the most splendid storm this morning, and I don't know how many inches we got, but it was like Niagara Falls when my tank overflowed. And it was brilliant to see how the work that I've done in the yard to do proper foundations and proper drainage and reorganize everything so that the water runs in the direction it wants to go, what a difference that has made to everything. So, foundations are everything. This morning I was talking to a client about hypermobility, and like many people, she had been told a lot of symptoms. She had a lot of symptoms, but nobody had ever explained to her about the hypermobility and the collagen connection. And when you do that with a yoga client and they can see that there's a way not to cure, because that's not what we're about. We're not fixers and we're not curers. We're allowing the body to do what it can, where it is with what it's got, like the Buddha said. And doing that with patience and kindness and gentleness, so that the body and the mind, in the best way, can make a recovery and deal with what is obviously there, without having to resort to medications. Not that I want to don't go off medications if you're on them. And, depending on what your condition is, you might need them, but you'll be able to make a much better decision. The course, this hypermobility series of videos is backing up the course that's on Etsy. Like everything that we do, it is not an easy course. It's not a tick this box. It's not the kind of course where I don't care if you're right or you're wrong. I just want to get your modules in. No, I read everything. I answer in longhand and pick you up on things that you might have noticed, add things that you might be looking for. And the modules are an ongoing discussion that you're able to have with me. When you do the course, don't cut corners, don't give one-word answers, and please understand the questions before you move forward. Module 3, though I don't think it's called video number 3, module 3 is about flow. It's about sacrocranial therapy. Yoga teachers don't necessarily do that, but it's a good therapy. And it's about cerebrospinal fluid, the spine, and how cerebrospinal fluid affects everything that we do and think and say and believe, really. It's also about the meridians, because you can't think about cerebrospinal fluid and anatomy and things like that and doshas and koshas without considering the meridians. And we think about the yamas, and we think about attachment, and we think about imbalance. That is what the third module is about. You can see that it would take more than 10 minutes or 15 minutes here for me to discuss this with you. But one thing I will discuss right at this moment, it occurs to me that I'd like to talk to you about attachment, grasping. And attachment is a desire, and the Buddha said desire and attachment are what cause suffering. Suffering, as the Buddha understood it, was not suffering as we understand it. It was finding everything unsatisfactory. And I'm sure that you found most things unsatisfactory, especially if you weren't paying attention to you. attachment can be positive, to what you think. Sorry, attachment can be to what you think is positive. So you might love yoga, but yoga might be really interrupting your home life and your family life and your life with your children and your life with your community, because you're grasping after an aspect of yoga that isn't real. When I was in India, looking around to find the real yoga, I believe I found it in the villages where people didn't go to yoga classes. They did yoga as part of their everyday movement and beingness. They all prayed and meditated and moved and loved and sat and observed and stretched and bent. They didn't go to yoga classes because they didn't need to go to yoga classes. Yoga was in every part of their lives. Asanas are not yoga. Yoga is living a life that is balanced in body, mind, and spirit. You might be attached to money. You can always make money. You can't always make relationships. You can't always do the best for your loved ones. You can't really get back heartfelt attachment to people if you've lost it. It doesn't mean that you don't love people. It doesn't mean that you don't hold on to them. It doesn't mean that you are removed from your family. It means that you understand that everything around you is temporary, including yourself. So living every day as best you can. That doesn't mean as busy as you can. That doesn't mean that every day you have to make the most money that you can. It means that every day when you finish the day, you can say to yourself, thank you for the beautiful day, God. That was a gorgeous day. I've got the most beautiful garden. It's very easy to be grateful when you can go out into the garden and look at this wonderful creation that's happening all around me. And all the bits were given to me by this person and that person. And so the garden is more than a collection of plants. It's a collection of feelings about people. And in the morning I go round and I say, thank you for the roses. You're a beautiful rose bush. Just love you. Thank you for the tree. Thank you for all those leaves. Thank you for that colour green. Thank you to all the fishes. I've got a lot this year. Thank you to the frogs. I even say thank you to my computer when I come back inside. Thank you for actually turning on and blinking blue and doing the things you're supposed to do. But if I lost them all, it would be all right. You know, in 1983 my house was destroyed in the bushfires. It wasn't just my house, the house belonged to the children and I. And I had worked really hard to get it beautiful. And I just finished putting verandas right around when the bushfire came through. And about a week or so prior to the fire coming through, I had this dream. Excuse me, I just got to blow my nose. I'd had a dream and I saw myself walking through the mountain with my guide, and there was flames and everything was bursting into flame, and it didn't seem to be scary, but it was most unusual. And the next day I thought about it a lot, and I decided that what I wanted to do, my response to it was to declutter in a serious way. And so I started to give away my clothes. I had a lovely collection of vintage and old, lovely, wonderful clothes, and I started to give them away. I give away jewelry, gave away paintings. And my mother said to me, "Do you plan to die soon?" And I said, "No, not necessarily, I don't think so. Why?" And she said, "Well, you're giving away everything." And I said, "Yeah, it just seems to be the right thing to do." When the bushfire came through, all I had left was my green leotard, and there's a story attached to that as well, as you would know. And the children and I decamped to my yoga studio, which was in the next town, Gisborne. And every day that I went to the front door, there was a box with the stuff that I'd given away. People were giving it back. So the only things I had left in the world were the things I had given away. I think there's a very good lesson there for me, and maybe there's a good lesson there for you. And I have taken that to heart, and I really try to give away a lot. I certainly try to give away time, and I give away my hours that I could earn money in, and I give away classes, and I give away all kinds of things, because I think that that's the only way to be happy. My accountant said to me last year, "Do you know what you're doing?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I think so." And he said, I hope you're not going to keep doing it." And I said, "Well, I probably am." And he thinks I'm nuts. But living the life that I am, it makes me very happy. And no amount of money could give me that. So yes, attachment to money, and attachment to success, and attachment to being the best has always been a driver for me. But as I'm getting older, I'm seeing how empty that driver is, and I am changing, I hope. Only you can be the judge. So yes, attachment and grasping is really, really not the best way to live. I've been with quite a few people who've died, and I have to say to you that not one of them has ever said to me, "I wish I'd have had a bigger bank balance," or "I wish I'd made better investments," or "I wish I had a better house," or 3 cars in the garage. No one has ever said that to me. And people who I have visited and spent time with who have had huge garages and 23 cars are no happier, no more content, and probably less content actually, than somebody with a Holden in their small garage. They just have an ego that needs to be polished at the same time as they polish their cars. "Look at me, look what I've done, this is fabulous, isn't it?" But inside they're empty and dying. This is what attachment will do for you. With regards to illness, some people are attached to their illness. A guy came to me year before last. He was dying of bone cancer. And his diet was shocking, and he didn't exercise, and he didn't do yoga, and he somehow wanted me to fix him in some way. I don't do fix. I show you how you can fix, but I don't do it. And I said to him, "You're going to have to work if you come and spend time with me. I'm not here playing games. I'm not here just to peel grapes for you. You're going to have to work." And he said to me, "You don't understand," he said. "I have a social life. I can't do all that stuff. I've got a social life." And I said to him, "It's very hard to have a social life and be dead at the same time." I said, "You can either decide to take this on board and work hard, and in the end it won't stop you from dying, but it will give you a better quality of life. When you die, you'll know that you're dying." Okay? Otherwise you can just come and have a cup of tea and we'll talk about the weather. And he said, I think I choose a cup of tea and the weather. So he came and had a cup of tea and we discussed the weather and the garden, and I think we actually walked around the garden while we waited for his wife to come. And a couple of weeks later he died in hospital, totally hooked up to every machine known to man and non-compos mentis. He didn't know he was crossing over. He didn't know he was dying. He took no part in it. And in the greatest voyage of his life, he wasn't there. That's not what I'm about. We're all dying, gang. And how you die is quite important. It's an adventure. But you've got to have a good life. Not lots of money in the bank. Not lots of cars in the garage. Not Dior clothes for every occasion. A happy life. Because there's not much difference between happiness and God. Once you find happiness, you know, God is there somewhere. That's what the Dalai Lama said. Your job is to be happy. So be happy. And with regard to hypermobility, it's just a way that your body is responding. And we could be very deep and philosophical and look at the Akashic records and look at how this lifetime and that lifetime and the other lifetime has affected how you are today. But in the end, the only thing you've got to work with is today. We can be smarter about it, but today is all we have. How much do you want to live fabulously well? How much do you want to make every breath fantastic? So that your mind is peaceful and God is there. However you see God. And your life is just that you go around your house like I do and say, thank you for bringing me to this point in my life. Thank you for the wonderful blessings that I have. Thank you for my fantastic students. Thank you for the ability to write. Thank you for the computer, even though I'm not madly keen on it. It's helpful. Thank you for allowing me to do this. When you start doing that, I totally guarantee hypermobility or anything else in your life will take its correct place. Be grateful is really important. Be grateful. Namaste.